Yes, keyboard accessibility and focus. So raise your hands if you would do something without seeing what you were doing. No, me neither. Yeah, so I have two hands, so that's nice. Maybe close your eyes while you're watching me do the presentation. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. It's keyboard accessibility and focus. Few different topics. So people using the web with the keyboard, some shortcuts, interactive elements, focus rings and focus straps. And maybe if we have time for it, if I look to my stage manager, then we can also do tab index. All right. Yeah, a lot of people use keyboards only to navigate websites and apps. So they don't use cursor, but only keyboard. These are people that have disabilities, for example, motor disabilities, or low vision / blind. Then they use probably also voiceover or something like that next to a keyboard to navigate the website. Or you have a broken hand, you are temporarily disabled, things like that. Or while quickly filling out a form, that's me. Who uses keyboard accessibility when using filling out a form? Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, it's much faster as well. So we all use it in some extent. My name is Tim Damen. I'm a front-end developer at the ABN AMRO, and I'm an accessibility lead and advocate, podcaster as well. You can check out my podcast called Focus Trap. And husband, I'm a proud father of a daughter, and I also love to be outside next to coding. All right, yeah. Keyboard accessibility is all about ensuring that everything on your web app or website that can be done with a mouse can also be done with a keyboard. And with a keyboard, we mean also other devices that present as a keyboard. These can be custom devices, assistive technology like, well, you have a few examples. You have assistive technology that has just 2 buttons, and you can come a long way as well. Or when you're in a wheelchair and use, for example, I've seen people use a tube in front of their mouth, and blowing in it would give a certain type of input as well. And these can also be presented as a keyboard, so they can be used to interact with your web app or web application or app. So yeah, small demo. So people who don't use a mouse, they use focus style to see where they are. This is how it looks like. You can see me going back and forward through a link in the paragraph and a button a little bit down there. And you can see the focus, because there's a focus ring around the link and around the button. When implementing these interactive features in your application, you should ask yourself some questions sometimes. Is the tab order sensible? Are there not too many tab stops? For example, if that's the case, for example, if you need to go past a navigation menu and there are a lot of links inside of it, it's more accessible to give an option to skip this navigation and go to the main content directly. Yeah. And I'd like to compare technology also with the real world. So you can kind of compare a focus ring or focus to see where you're going and to see, well, the action that you're going to take. And in this case, a sidewalk with a lantern in the night. And because of the lantern, of course, the sidewalk gets shine light upon, and we can see where we're going, so that's good. And also smart TVs. You might have one at home, and with a smart TV you don't have a mouse, but you have a remote, and you can point it at the TV, or sometimes you use the arrow keys to navigate your smart TV. And there's also some kind of styling involved there to see where you are, the focus style. Or it could be a border, or in this case, it's like a very heavy shadow. But yeah, this is it's getting a more sense of what the styling focus is and what it's doing, because this is also something maybe a lot of you are using. This is a great tip, I would say. Maybe self-explanatory, but sometimes I also do a lot of accessibility testing and auditing, and sometimes happens that people just remove or hide the focus ring. You can do that with CSS. It's quite customizable, and to be honest, I might have in my very junior years done the same thing. Just because I didn't know what it was. But yeah, if you see this happening, just make sure to fix the problem and don't hide the focus ring, because you also wouldn't steal their cursor. This is a very nice talk of Laura. I hope you pronounce her name correct. Laura Cavalla. You wouldn't steal their cursor. Great talk. I would recommend it. And it's about, if you remove the cursor, the people don't see where they're going. That's the same actually for a focus ring. All right, some shortcuts, some basic keyboard navigation. So you just saw me inside the slide move forward and backwards between two interactive elements. And you can do that by hitting Tab on your keyboard and Shift Tab to move backwards. But you can also hit Enter sometimes on interactive elements like buttons or links to activate them. This is primarily for example, for links. If you hit Enter on a link, you go to where that link takes you. Or spacebar to activate the button, or checkbox, or select box, you might have paused YouTube with spacebar before. And then there's escape. And with escape, you can close things like a model or a select box or navigation menu. And there's then, as last, the arrow keys. You can use them in some occasions to also move the focus. And all of these commands, I will demo them in a later slide as well. So what is a good focus style? Well, to begin with, it should be visible. And if you want to be visible, you need the right contrast. So you need the right contrast against the adjacent color. So outside and inside, you have two sides with the focus ring. And the minimum contrast you should go for in terms of WCAG is 3 against 1. But I would say aim for higher. That's better. And try to make it consistent. So sometimes you use a design system, for example, third-party design system, or a third-party piece of component from another team, and they might have implemented another focus style. Try to make it as consistent as possible, because that's just more logical and more understandable throughout your application. All right, and for the focus styling, I have a nice thing to show you. It's called the Oreo focus style. It's a nice article written about it by Erik Kroes. And I will show you right now what it is. So we see 3 paragraphs with a different background, and in each paragraph is a link. And right now the Oreo focus style is applied with the CSS you see on the right side. And what you see when I move the focus, you can also see my input now. For example, on top, you now see very clearly 2 black lines. But if you move down a little bit, you can see that you also see some white, if you can see that. And when we move to black, you can see primarily white. So what's happening here is that there's a white background, so to say, around the element, but also 2 black borders. In this case, black and white has the highest contrast against each other. And if you use it, you're 99% sure that on every background and against every adjacent color you might find on your website, you have the right contrast, so the focus ring is always visible. Yeah, also quite logical, but there can only one thing at a time can have focus. Yeah, because otherwise it would be very hard to see what you're doing. Not really good to multitask like this. And what can have focus is the interactive elements I talked about a little bit. So what are the interactive elements? Of course, we know buttons, links, inputs, for example, or details, and select. But you have a lot more, and I will demo a few. So on top, we have a button and a link. And the button, we can activate it with spacebar. And if we go to the link, we can activate it by hitting enter. And you can see that I'm using the Oreo focus style right now. And this is a nice one. This is a color input type. And if you click spacebar, you can open it. And it's fully keyboard accessible. So if you go down, you can see we are going down now. And left. Oh, we're going left. That's great. And if I hit tab to the slider, I can also use the keyboard, the arrows on the keyboard to move the slider. And even if we go along and go here, and type 10, 10, and 100, then we see we can enter a new color. And if you come all the way down here, don't press enter yet, because then you will input it. But if you use spacebar, you can even change this. So it's fully keyboard accessible, very nice. And if we hit enter now, we input the color. Then going to the radio buttons first. There's a difference between the radio button and the check button. The difference I will show, and if you mark it up correctly like I did, then you can use your arrows to move inside the radio viewed set. And of course, yes, we like coffee. If I hit tab right now, then I move to the checkboxes. But if I use my arrow keys again, I'm going nowhere, because I need to use tab inside the checkboxes. And spacebar to activate them. Of course, send me everything that's on there. All right. Yeah. Small tip again, if you removed your focus ring, perhaps someone else did it, and you can't find the CSS to turn it back, you can also drop this into the console, and yeah, the focused element will be prompted to you. And getting into the realm of JavaScript, customizing, non-semantic stuff, which is always a little scary for someone talking a lot about accessibility. Because we like the more semantic HTML and such. But yeah, you can also move focus with JavaScript, and there are a lot of good use cases actually to do it. Because we also said we would talk about focus traps. And when do we want a focus trap? Or does someone know what a focus trap even is? Yep.
It's when you're not able to get to some elements when you're trapped in your focus.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one actually, because it's either good or bad actually. You have a good focus trap, but you can also have a bad focus trap. I think the bad one is what you mean, and the focus trap that you can't proceed through the normal flow as someone using a cursor would, because you're literally stuck on an element because you can't get out of it. You're literally trapped. But there are also some instances where you actually want to trap the user inside a certain element on your screen. For example, when there's a big model and the background is blurry, or big model navigation, like a big sidebar that's over almost the whole screen, and also the other part is a bit blurry. or full screen alert or these types of things. Because I will demo it in a short bit, but explaining it, when you are at the last interactive element in, for example, a model, you're at the last button, and you hit tab. You go to the next interactive element, which could be under your model, and you don't see where you are because the focus style is not visible because the model is overlaying it. In these cases, you need to focus trap inside this model because otherwise you can lose what has the focus. And this, of course, is a very custom implementation. It's not semantic, well, not really semantic, but it's also because the web has evolved a lot. It's not like this easy-going place anymore, like well, 20 years ago when it all got started. Because back then the internet was quite easy. You had web pages with text on them, links, buttons, forms, and now we have very dynamic web pages that ask you for a lot of data, or cookie banners, or sign up to newsletters, and interactive dynamic elements that get loaded on the screen with JavaScript and things like that. So with great power comes great responsibility to also make these new exciting features as accessible as possible. So then get into the realm of also custom JavaScript code to trap focus inside an element. And I would recommend reading his blog from Hidde de Vries. He has a lot of great blogs about accessibility, and this is one of them. This is how to trap focus inside an element with JavaScript. I will not go through the whole code, but basically because what I just explained, the internet has a lot of custom, new designed, sick features, and also some custom JavaScript is sometimes needed to make them accessible. But I also want to show you, so I will show an example of a model in one slide which is not focus-trapped, and one which is focus-trapped into the newly available in all browsers dialog element, which was, I think, 2 years ago, 2023, accepted into all the large major browsers, and that's the moment when all web developers are jumping on it a little bit. So yeah, and you can show this model. You can show it by defining it and then calling show model on it. And I will demo now 2 types of show and show model. And show is an implementation where the focus is not trapped, and show model is an implementation where the focus is trapped. And I've also written down some other things that we are going to test, and to test and see if this model is a little accessible or not, because these are requirements to make models accessible. All right, we will start with the show one, and you can see that the first element inside the model has the focus. That's good, that's correct. And the focus should also now be trapped inside this model, but it's not. We can also go behind it and to other elements that are not visible right now on the screen. So the focus is not trapped when we use .show method. And when we click escape, the model should close. Yeah, you can see that something happened, but we didn't go. The model didn't close. And then the last thing, when the model is closed, the focus should return to the element that opened the model. And that happens. So we got 2 out of 2. Not entirely what we want still. All right. Now we open it with show model. And what we see, it's a lot smaller now, because now it's in the top layer, actually. It's good to give another talk about the top layer, but all right. And we can, so the first element is getting focused, that's nice. And do we have a focus trap? Yeah, So the focus is going between now the close and now the URL bar, which is not visible, now the first element. So this is the correct way to do it. And if we click escape, yeah, I can't really show it. Yeah, if you click escape, yeah, it's closed. And if we hit this, if we close it, the focus is returned to the element that gave it, that opened it. That's great. All right. So that's the difference between the two. Tab index. So I think we have more than enough time to go over tab index. Yeah, 5 minutes. Oh, all right. That's good. So tab index is a feature you can utilize in your HTML to give elements that cannot receive focus. You can enable them to receive focus, and you should only do this with great caution and when you know what you're doing. Because if you don't, then you can mess up the tab order, which normally is quite logical. But if you do a lot of tab indexing without knowing what you're doing, you can also mess this up, and then it becomes less accessible. All right. So you have basically 3 different input types for the tab index. It's a 0, -1, and a +1 positive values. And I will show a demo a few of them. So first one is no tab index. It's just the natural tab order. And like you can see, just logical from left to right and from top to bottom. All the elements receive focus. That's great. Now, we make non-interactive elements focusable by, for example, I have 2 divs in this slide, and I gave them tab index 0 value. And you can see that now the first element on this slide can receive focus, and the second one as well. And of course also the button. So this happens when you add tab index 0 to a non-focusable element. And there's also something like tab index -1. And what this does is the non-focusable element can receive focus, but only via JavaScript. So the code that I showed a few slides ago. So on this slide, the first element that gets focus is the link, and now the button. But when I click the button, I programmed it in such a way that it points the focus towards the div element. And voila, we can give the non-focusable element focus also with the minus value. When would you use something like this? Yeah, this is very custom. You could, for example, have, from the top of my mind, have an updating news or notification cycle going on somewhere on the screen where it's not visible. And then you can also utilize this to give it focus and also for the screen reader to read this out. Or, for example, when you have a big form and you want to showcase all of the different errors when the validation on this form is done, and you are able to shift the focus towards the big box where all the errors are displayed after validation. These are 2 use cases I can think of that this would be useful for. And then we have the very not recommended style, tab index plus value. So I gave the buttons, as you can see, I gave them all different tab index values. So this one 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's also the order that they're now going in. So you can really see that now not the natural default order is used, but 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can see how we can mess up the focus order this way. By that. So I wouldn't recommend using this at all. All right, that's almost it. Short recap of what we talked about. So people using the web with the keyboard. I showed you navigation shortcuts on how to navigate with the keyboard. We talked about interactive elements, focus rings and focus traps, and tab index. And two more things. So at the ABN AMRO, we are hosting next week a meetup called Accessible Banking. Me and my colleague, who is over there, we are organizing it together with someone else. And yeah, if you're interested in accessibility, and we have two great speakers and then a panel discussion also, which I will be hosting. There's free food and drinks and enough time to connect with everyone. Already 300 plus people signed up, so turns out it's a really nice topic, and it's at our headquarters in Amsterdam site. Anyone scanning? No, otherwise I can go back. Yeah, of course, podcast. If you want to check it out, recent guest was Kiamir, staff engineer at Stack Overflow. He's doing the design system over there. Talked about a lot of great stuff about Transition Day they took in 2024, where they focused a lot on accessibility and improving it. They also changed the default orange color a little bit, he told, and yeah, I think great insights from him. Yeah, and that's it. Hope to connect with everyone. Some of my details are here. And if you want to grab the slides, they're available at this link. I created also. Yeah, so happy to stay in touch and happy to talk afterwards as well. And yeah, thank you.